Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. Yeah, you've kind of alluded to the style of play that you shifted to and that you love. Man, I love to hear just how you teach it and what you love to teach.
Well, like I said, we've been blessed here. I read a lot of things on social media about coaches. They can't get guys in the gym. We have to beat them out of the gym, and it's been that way for decades. We're a bigger size school. We have 900 to 1,000 kids most years, but we're still that small town that leaves the gym open all the time.
Love that.
We don't have to have a coach in here. We open the gym. Our back gym, there's kids that come from communities all around. Then there's games, people are playing. It's locked down every night about 10 o'clock. And, show up and here we go. And, one of my favorite stories of all time is I came in one Sunday night and it was some little older guys that were out of school, and nearly every one of them had been in trouble with the law, having a 4-on-4 game on one end. And I thought as I left, they said, man, we'll shut it down, coach. I said, okay. I knew one of them was an ex-player around another sport. And I said, no problem. Hey, push the door shut. I'll let you guys stay a little bit longer. Well, in a lot of situations, you wouldn't have left those guys in that gym in a million years. But I knew in our community, even with their reputations, they were going to take care of that gym.
Wow.
And sure enough, everything was in place. Trash was picked up, door was locked. And so, that goes a long way with having that type of support and community and being able to do that and everything. But our guys love to play. People play, they love to play at our school. And like I mentioned before, being Air Force Base related, we always had a bunch of guys. We looked around and we had a lot of guys. It wasn't a lot different than our 13th guy and our second guy, and everybody's pretty good. And we're playing 6 or 7 people. And so, man, we just decided to make the switch and to really start playing a lot of people and go all in and press full court and then just play up tempo and really get busy and get after it. And, it was the best thing we've ever done. It's kind of been our identity, and, that we're going to press you as soon as the game starts. We're not going to let up, we're going to get after you from the start and everything. So, and it's a fun way to play, funding and staffing a lot of times in our public schools and at Grapevine Faith, it's tied to how many kids you got in the program, and so like I mentioned before earlier, once we started that, man, numbers increased, kids wanted to play, became more fun. Well, it's a lot easier to get funding and staff when you have those situations going on. But we really jumped all in when we did it. Then we said, we're going to press full court. We're going to run. Loyola Marymount was really popular then. And, man, just running on makes as hard as misses. I've read and studied every single thing that I could that they've ever done. And every book that's ever written.
So you're a West Headian. I didn't know that about you. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Not cut. Now he probably would say, no, you're not, because we're not. We can't completely sell out. There's still a little of Coach Stockton and Mr. Iba, in me. But
you take the good. You take the good that fits the situation where you are. But then you also find out that style that just rings true to you and that you enjoy teaching. I think that's really huge.
Well, and Matt, this just popped in my head. I hadn't heard it for years, but somebody one time, the best compliment I think we could have ever been paid was that we play super up-tempo basketball with old school fundamentals. And so I thought that was really neat that, we're not throwing it around the gym. We've got a plan. We're not, it's not just pick up, although it may look like that to somebody. But we
Players making plays, not just running plays, Coach.
That's right. That's right. But just we feel like the combination of everything is what works for us. Really pushing the ball, made, miss, turnover, whatever it may be, playing as fast as we possibly can. Speaking on that, when I first started coaching, in any fast break situation, we've always been in a district with Wichita Falls, Hershey. We're about 8 to 10 miles apart, big rivals, thousands at every game still to this day. Really,
wow.
Really a neat deal. I mean, gym's packed. Our gym holds 2,300, and it's nearly full every time. Theirs is a little smaller, and it's full every time, still to this day. So it's fun. We've made them better, and they've sure made us better. But we could never keep them off the boards in any fast break shot. I'd drill on it. I'd work on it. I'd harp on it. I'd preach on it. And then once we started running and shooting faster, I realized, heck, it's almost impossible to try to get back and stop the break, and then to get offensive rebounders off the glass if you do miss. So, on the offensive end of it, we just felt like that that's a huge advantage. There's so many great defensive half-court coaches.
Yeah.
If you get back and you have to deal with, my gosh, through the years, all the guys. I think of Randall Durant at Keller in that 3-2 zone. I never figured it out. Leslie Broadhurst and his amoeba at Canyon Randall. I can't figure it out. We launch a bunch of threes. If we make them, we got a chance to win. If we miss them, they win. And, and then the great man-to-man guys, Tony Wagner at Estacada, Tim Thomas, all the places he's been. Yeah, it's so tough when you get back there and you they're set up, they're dug in, and now trying to play against them. So I think there's easier offensive opportunities in transition, and certainly easier offensive rebounding opportunities. So, man, that's our offensive end of it. Then defensively, we're just going to press and just hit you as hard as we can. And we'll change the press based on, personnel some years to do it a little different. But we're going to just get at you and just try to go as hard as we can, trap you. We give up, there's going to be easy buckets sometimes. But, we've always said if they oop it and dunk it, while they're looking around a little bit, we're going to kick it in and go, and let's go get another one. There's been numerous times it's really a fun time when somebody dunks it on us. Instead of hanging our heads or calling a timeout, we really work. I always show them video. When we played Dunbar and they had Jeremy Smith, I said, he's going to dunk it on us. And but we really take pride in kicking it in, running down, getting a bucket, and then pressing them again.
Coach, when you play that style you're talking about, you mentioned early on, you'd much rather be in a game that was 85 to 81 versus 45 to 41. So there's some defensive purists that they cringe a little bit when they hear that. But how did you get – because I'm right with you. I'm not as worried about, especially if the other team is playing the way that we want them to play, I'm not as worried about their score climbing up as long as we have one more point than them at the very end. But how did you get to that? Because of the legendary coaches that you played for and were around.
Well, like I said, there's still a lot of that in me. And there's times later in the game that we'll get out of the press. If, man, a team's going through it and we just feel like, we're 8 or 9 up and it's late, we're going to win the game if we can stop easy buckets. And so we'll stop pressing. We'll get out and do that and not press any longer. And, but there's also times when I've regretted doing that. And, one comes to mind, a 2008 state championship game against my good friend Doug Groff in Kennedale. It's in overtime, and we're hurting them with the press in the second half a little bit. They had a great team, man, really good players, very well coached, as always, by Doug. And we scored to tie it up where it's going to go in a second overtime, and I get us out of the press. And we go back, and, man, they take it down, and they score against our half-court defense and beat us in the state championship game. So, it just I still have that that defensive feeling, okay? And then I've never felt like that we just made things easy. I've seen some up-tempo teams to where they just don't play defense at all. They might full-court press, but they won't take a charge. They don't dive on the floor. You've seen them, Matt.
Yeah.
They're not going to hit the defensive boards. They're not going to scrap for loose balls. They're just a soft defensive team. We've always tried not to be that. Even though we were going to press you full court, we wanted to be able to do all the little things defensively, that would make us a tough defensive team. Even if you got some, uncontested baskets. I always tell guys that when you're going to play us, work on your layup lines, so you can get ready for your layup. So, but anyways.
Well, to that point though, how do you, when you're talking with your players, how do you get them to the point where they understand, because we're pressing, one, scores on both sides are going to be higher. There's more possessions in the game. So like I always tell our guys, when my first few years of Faith, we were pressing a lot, and we've actually gone to that 3-2 that you alluded to from Keller, which is funny that you mentioned that, but and not many guys can figure it out. It's fun. But how do you get them still valuing the defensive end, getting stops, because I think when they are getting scored on more, and there are some layups, because transition offense is easier than half court offense, like you said. How do you get them from just not caring anymore about getting scored on, only wanting to go on the offensive side? How do you deal with that balance?
Well, we always talk about our big four things and things that we can control. As you can turn on the NBA playoffs tonight, somebody's going to shoot it poorly, and let's worry about what we can control. So for us, our four things that we say we've got to be great at every night, we got to run as hard as we can. We have signs all around our locker room, and we carry it with us on the road. I got it from Jim Calhoun at UConn. We will run until they quit. And so we got to run as hard as we can. That's the first thing. The second thing, we've got to rebound. It's the whole game. I really believe that. I think rebounding, on both ends of the floor, you have a great offense if you hit the offensive boards, and you've got a great defense if you limit them to one shot. So we've got to rebound as hard as we can. And then, we've got to play what we call killer defense. We can't make it easy. You can do this every night. And then we've got to own the loose balls. They belong to us. Any loose ball, because being an up-tempo guy and a pressing guy, man, balls get hit, deflections. Yeah. There's a ton of 50-50 balls, and those have to be ours. So we just try to really, that's our four big things right there that we say we've got to control every single night. And we always felt like that we weren't just, you got to be tough to play. I mean, even if you were a really good scorer in our system, I won't say I didn't play you, but if somebody else could play more minutes or playing better defense and rebounding better and hustling better, that they probably were for sure going to be in at the end of the game. But so we tried to make it an important thing through the years, and I think our guys responded to that.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.